9:02. So for today's webinar, we're welcoming Emmanuel Poulet from Poulet Fee, a sparkling wine producer in the Kinder Vines portfolio from the D area, which is kind of a unique area. I know that Emmanuel will tell us a little bit more about. Some very interesting wines, and it's of course a perfect time for two reasons to have Emmanuel on with us today. Obviously, we're heading into the holiday season, which is prime time for sparkling wine. But also, we've seen a resurgence, really, in 2017 throughout the year so far, of a lot more increased popularity with the more value-focused sparkling wines, especially Provence, out of various areas from France, as well as the world. So it's a great time to get him on here, as his wines are really have grown over the past few months in terms of sales and popularity. So really looking forward to having Emmanuel on today. So with that, I'll let Emmanuel take it from here.
So thank you very much. Hello to all of you. I'm very happy to present Domaine Poulet Fils to you today. So I'm Emmanuel. I'm the owner of Domaine Poulet Fils. I've been running the company for more than 15 years now, and I'm the fourth generation of winemakers. My father and my grandfather's father did before me, but they had more had other productions, and my father did really the focused production of wines. Well, I studied sales and economics at university, and I received the know-how from my father for winemaking and for the vineyards. And I've chosen to learn winemaking with my father, as our method for the Clairette de Die is very unusual. We can't study the method ancestral at university. So where is the Domaine Poulet Fils? So we are not far from the city of Die. So it's Die, it's not Die. It's a little town of 5,000 inhabitants. It's located in the Rhone Valley, in the southeast of France. We are between the north and the south of the Rhone Valley. We are at the beginning of the Alps, as the Alps are on the east side of the Rhone Valley. We are at about between 400 and 600 meters of altitude. So it's a wine which is made in the mountains. The different grapes we have in the region are Muscat, mostly, and Clairette, and a little bit of Aligoté and Gamay. If we can go to the next slide. Yeah, thank you. So the Diois is the region of Die, and the inhabitants of Die are called Diois. As you can read, it's really on the east side of the Rhone. Most of the production is sparkling wine. The whole area produces about 12 million bottles a year. And we have some still wines too, but it's very small part of the production. It's less than 5% of the production of the region. The climate is we have hot summers, as we are in the south of France, but we have very cold nights, not very cold, but cold nights, and which is good for the white wines because we keep the acidity in the wines. And the winters are quite cold, not for Michigan, of course, but for France, it can be quite cold. So now the winery. Let's talk about us now. So we are in France, as I told you, in the Rhone. The domain has been founded in 1910. We are specialized in sparkling wines. We have two different sparkling wines, Crémant de Die and Clairette de Die. We have about 20 hectares of vineyards, 14 hectares of Muscat, which is a very fruity grape, 5 hectares of Clairette, which is a grape we can find in the whole Rhone Valley in white wines, but it's not very fruity. It's more on it has a lot of acidity and it's very fresh. We have half an hectare of Aligoté, the same as we can find in Burgundy, and 1 hectare of Gamay, the one which you can find in Beaujolais. We produce about 150,000 bottles a year. It's 110,000 of Clairette de Die, 25,000 of Crémant, and we have a new product now since 2016. We have the Clairette de Die Rosé, and we produce about 15,000 bottles. We are 5 people working all year long on the domain, and we sell most in France, about 75%, and we are distributed in about 15 countries in Europe and in Canada, in the States, of course, and China and Japan too. So now, next slide. So you can see me on the next slide. Yeah, having a drink. And then you have some pictures of the vineyards. So you can see that the vineyards are really in the mountains. You can't see that on this vineyard, but the next one, yeah, you see they have really mountains. The vineyards are about 400 meters high in altitude, but all the mountains around can be about 2,000 meters of altitude. So that's why we have cold winters and cold nights in summer. The vineyards are planted on small parcels on the hillside. So, and here you can see the castle. There's a castle in the village of Pontet, the village where we have the winery, and it has been broken for the French Revolution. So next, there's a funny fact you have to know about my name. That Poulet in French means chicken. So that's why we have a chicken on the labels. We have decided to have all the marketing and the communication around the chicken because it's very easy to remember. The wines we have. So the first wine is the Crémant de Die. It's a méthode traditionnelle. That means it's the same method as Champagne. That means we have 2 different fermentations, one in tanks, and then we add some sugar and some yeast, and we have a second fermentation in the bottles. We have 3 different grapes, 85% of Clairette, 10% of Aligoté, and 5% of Muscat. So Clairette is very fresh and has a lot of acidity. Aligoté and Muscat are rounder and fruitier. I keep the bottles up to 4 years on the yeast, just to make it rounder, because Clairette can be a bit too fresh when it's young. So the key selling points, the first point is that we have a very good price to quality ratio, and it's a good substitute for Champagne. And we are the only Crémant in the Rhone Valley, as the whole Rhone Valley is very specialized in red wine, and they don't have any Crémant. The next wine is the Clairette de Die Tradition. This wine is a méthode ancestrale. That means from the ancestors. It's a very unusual method as we have only one fermentation, which starts in tanks and finishes in the bottles. We bottle the wine during the first fermentation, so we don't have to add any sugar when we bottle the wine. And the fermentation is not finished because there's too much pressure and not enough oxygen, and the yeast can't finish the fermentation. So that's why we have still some residual sugar. We have about 60 grams per liter of residual sugar, and only 8% of alcohol, as there's all this sugar which has not been transformed into alcohol. We produce the claret with two different grapes. We have 75% of Muscat and 25% of Claret. So Muscat is very fruity and sweet, and Claret has more acidity. It balances the sweetness of the Muscat. Because I try to make a wine which is fruity but fresh. I don't like wines when it's too sweet. I want people to have a second glass and not to drink some water after the first glass. So the key selling points, it's a very easy to drink wine, and it's good for people who don't know much about wine, for young people, because there's some residual sugar, it's sparkling, so they like sparkling wines and sweet wines. We sell a lot for weddings in France, for the aperitif, and we drink it for the desserts too. Claret de Die is a wine which has to be drunk young because there's not much alcohol, so we lose the fruitiness when it gets old. So it's good to drink it during the year. So this was Claret de Die. Now the brand new product. In 2016, we had a new appellation, which is Claret de Die Rosé. It's a blend of 3 different grapes. We still have 85% of Muscat. So Muscat is the most present. It's a Claret. So we have a lot of Muscat, 10% of Claret, and 5% of Gamay. So the Gamay, we make the Gamay as a red wine, but we don't finish the fermentation, and we blend this red Gamay with the Muscat and the Claret before bottling the wine. Well, it's the same method as Claret. It's a method ancestral. We only have 8% of alcohol. We still have some residual sugar, a bit less. We are about 55 grams per liter. And we have just begun to sell it, as we started in August. And we have a quite good sellings now. For the 2 first months, I'm really happy with the sales. We have citrus and red fruits aromas, about cherry and strawberry. I didn't want to have the same aromas as we can find on Claret de Die. I didn't want to have just the color, which is different. So I've chosen some parcels which develops citrus aromas. So now the takeaway. If there's one thing you have to remember, it's that we have high quality sparklings. If you compare to Moscato from Italy, we have much more quality than the cheap Moscatos, and we are much cheaper than very good Moscatos, which are very expensive, but we have a very good quality. If you want to remember how to pronounce, we say Claret de Die and not Die, but you can tell that it's a wine you would die for.
I like that.
That's good.
I've thought a lot before finding this. So next, the concept. So the region, as I told you, we are between the north and the south of the Rhone Valley, in the mountains. Die has the highest vineyards in France. We have clay limestone soils, rocky, and we have climate very hot in summer and cold in winter. Very different seasons. I'm the fourth generation of winemakers. We have very good know-how, and my father has worked a lot on the method, as it was not really established. The method was not established when my father started to run the company. We produce most of sparkling wines, and 3 different sparkling wines: Crément de Die, Clairette de Die, and the Clairette de Die Rosé, which you couldn't taste now, but I'll send you some samples. And we respect the tradition. We want to have the expression of the terroir. So I think that's all. I'm sorry if my English was not good enough. If you have some questions, do not hesitate.
Oh, I think, Emmanuel, yeah, your English was great, and it was communicated very well. I had a question. When was Die created as an appellation?
In 1936, it was one of the first appellations in France.
Okay, that's what I was wondering when it happened as compared to, because I know it's not considered either north or south, but yeah, just wondering what in comparison.
And we've been producing some wine in the Die region before the Romans. There are some writings before Jesus Christ, and it's been a long history of wine in the region.
Very cool. Very interesting. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions from anybody right now? And just to clarify, as Emmanuel said, we do not have any rosé on order right now. That was more to kind of keep us updated on what they're all doing over there. It was, interesting to learn about that project. We will get some samples in here and evaluate for the future. But yeah, I just thought it was a very interesting new addition for him. So, any other questions right now? Okay, very good.
Oh, great job, great job.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a great job, Emmanuel, and thank you for this morning. We look forward to continued growth with these wonderful wines in our portfolio.
Oh, thank you. And so I hope this will help you to sell more wine.
Absolutely, it will. Thank you, Emmanuel.
Thank you.
Have a great
Thank you very much to all of you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.